Um, any questions on that? Anyone speak up? Anyone still awake out there? I feel like I'm just keep talking and talking and talking. Um, Obviously no questions here. Can't see anything. So let's continue on. Now, if you learned, sorry about that. If you learned anything in this session, and the key thing to take away is understanding the difference between a retirement residence and long-term care. Whether I read it in a newspaper, whether I hear a politician, whether I hear a private citizen, is people are constantly mixing up the terms. They're constantly talking about one thing, and they're talking about a retirement residence as it was long-term care. They're talking about a long-term care, whether it was a retirement residence. Again, understanding that difference sheds so much light on the opportunities out there because most clients are confused. They don't know the sector at all, and they'll be looking for you to provide that guidance. So long-term care, which, back in the old days, we call it a nursing home. It's based on a medical model. It is designed for people that need 24/7 help. Okay. That it is. It is the closest. It is really closer, more closer to a hospital than it is to some place for retirement living. 2/3 of the residents use wheelchairs. If you ever go into long-term care, most people have some sort of assistance. 9 out of 10 have some sort of cognitive impairment. Most people go into long-term care because they're suffering from, dementia. And so mostly when you go into long-term care, most of the people you will see there have a mental, a cognitive impairment. Um, I'm sure any of you that watch people age, there's sort of two ways that people age is unfortunately they're physically okay, but their minds will start to diminish. Or I know in my family's cases, my mom was as sharp as a tack to the day she died, but her body gave out. She had COPD and other ailments. So again, so those two factors is that in a long-term care, you're going to see people either cognitive or they've deteriorated so much on the physical side as they need 24/7 care. The cost is partially subsidized, and they're standardized fees. What you pay in Oakville is what you'll pay in Timmins, which you'll pay in Blind River or anywhere else. It's a standardized Ontario government fee, and it's based on there's different types of rooms, and we'll see that is there's the ward, there's a semi-private, and there is a private. Again, we go through the application process. This is either happens at the hospital. Most of the times it happens at the hospital. You'll have a discharge planner that will contact the home and community care support, and they will give you an assessment to see if you're eligible to go into long-term care. It is a detailed assessment because it's most, as we talked about, it's either cognitive or it's physical. We have to assess those needs. You select 5 homes and with expectations for immediate admissions due to a crisis. So it's I will tell you the scoring system on the next slide here. You have to be, once they call you, you have to accept within 24 hours and you have to be in that long-term care within a week. And again, personal experience. We got my mom into an assisted living residence because she was discharged from the hospital, and we got her all set up, and we got the call that we had to accept the long-term care. We had to move my mom out of the assisted living and into long-term care right away. Again, because there's such a huge demand. If you refuse the offer, you can't make that offer. You are taken off the waiting list for 12 weeks, and you have to reapply again. It is, it's just a demand situation. Again, there's 43,000 people currently on the waiting list for long-term care. And we talk about assessment. So they put them in, I think, there's 6 categories I have here. So category 1, That's someone that needs immediate assistance to long term. They cannot have their needs met in the hospital or at home, is they have to go into long-term care. That's a category one. Category two is people who need to be reunified with their spouse or partner who are residing apart. Again, that means if Mrs. Smith is in a long-term care in Oakville because that's where she could get in, and her husband, Mr. Smith, is in long-term care in Milton, they will do everything possible to get them together. But again, they have to qualify to be in long-term care. It's not Mr. Smith going to keep his wife company, is they both have to be at a level where they need that much care. Sort of 3A is people that maybe looking at a particular religion or ethnic origin. There's some specialized needs they're looking for, and they're in one long-term care and they're going to look for another one. Again, there's 3B, 4A, people have higher care needs, but they can be supported at home. It's 4B, people with care needs, but are currently managed with home supports. And veterans, not many of our veterans left anymore, unfortunately, but they do have a priority. Going back, you are only going to get into long-term care if you are in category one. That's just the truth right now. So people apply to it and they say, I'm on a waiting list, but unless you're in a crisis, you are not getting a bed in long-term care. There's just too much demand. So again, it's prioritizing. I could have been on a waiting list as a category 4 for 10 years, but if I'm not in that category 1 stage, there's just no room right now, and it's got to be honest. So when people, again, if you're talking to clients, is long-term care, it is 24/7 nursing and care. It's people that are going there either have severe cognitive function, lack of function, or they're severely physically impaired. It's basically from the hospital to long-term care. Disregard the numbers you hear on the waiting list. The only people that are getting admitted are people that are in a serious situation. See on this graph here, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but the red one and the purple one, again, those are people going into long-term care from the hospital. And you can see their days are a lot less than the people that are getting transferred from home. So again, most people that are getting into long-term care are coming directly from a hospital, whether they've just been hospitalized because they can't manage anywhere else, or their physical condition is diminished so much that they have to be hospitalized. And there is people waiting in the hospital for long-term care beds. We talk about hospitals being overcrowded. I've been in the hospital visiting friends, and I see it's an older person wandering around the hall who looks fairly healthy, and I will ask the nurse, so, what's him? And obviously he's got dementia, and he's just waiting for a long-term care bed, which unfortunately is taking up a lot of room in our hospitals because obviously that person can't go home. There's no one that can look after them, or if they're severely ill or it's diminished capacity, there's no one there to help them out. So again, they'll be stuck in that hospital until that bed comes available. So you can see now that, if I put my name in on a waiting list, it really is not going to be filled until I hit a critical capacity. So again, we mentioned that someone had just chatted mentioned it's tough to even it's so tough to get into long-term care, and they're struggling so much with staffing. Unfortunately, you heard over COVID is all the deaths in long-term care. A lot of that was due to the fact that they just couldn't get people in there to help. They were so short-staffed. And they continue to be short-staffed, and hopefully we'll get to a point where we have the care that's available to people, so people can live at home or go to a care facility. How much does it cost?
بيقول لك الليست عليها 43,000 واحد في الانتظار.
Okay, someone can mute their mic there, thanks. Okay, so what does it cost in long-term care? Long-term care basic, which is a ward, which is a four-person. Most of the newer long-term cares don't have wards. They're either semi-private or private. But so the monthly rate is your pay is $1,986.82. A semi-private room is $23.95, and the long-term care private is $28.38. That is what you pay. The government picks up the rest of the cost, which is three times as amount the cost to look after that person. So again, it's highly subsidized. If you cannot pay that $1,900 a month or that $2,300 a month, there's even more subsidies. You go through a means test. And again, if you need to be in long-term care and you qualify for long-term care, they will not admit you because you have no money. Again, they will, if you have CP, Canada Pension, if you have old age security, they will just take whatever comes out of that. And let's say you only get $1,000 coming in, they will take X percentage of that to pay for your rate. Again, it's very small amount that you're covering in those costs. They're long-term care. They're very Spartan. It's not a place. It's not a luxury place. It is utilitarian. It provides a service. The picture on the left, that person's done a nice job the family's done a nice job in doing some decorating. You can see that semi-private room to the right, the two people there. The one on the left again is a ward. There's four people there, and there's also that picture of a family eating. Again, most of them, two of the people are residents there, and two of the people are family members helping out. A lot of time, families spend a lot of time in long-term care looking after their loved ones because, just because they're in long-term care, I mean, it's the same problem is that you have only so many hours in a day that you have to allocate resources. So mom is not getting looked after 24/7 because there will never be enough people to do that. It's just an impossibility. So a lot of families, myself included, would go to the long-term care and keep a loved one company or play games with them or just make sure that they're okay. Especially ones that have severe physical, excuse me, problems, where they're bedridden at a lot of the time. Many of them are on palliative care, and that, it's just unfortunately a matter of time until they pass away. Again, high levels of care, government subsidized. You're only getting admitted if you're critical, and you will still be, if possible, spending a lot of time looking after your loved one. Excuse me. Just going to take a drink here. So retirement residence it's based on a social model. So residents live in their own suites. They have an eat-in dining area. They have programs and activities for socialization. They have exercise classes. They have outings. Retirement residents are designed for maximum socialization. And as we looked at it in the home care, is that people left alone, they deteriorate so rapidly. Again, that's why retirement residents are designed, is that people have the ability to socialize. Many times I have clients say, "Oh, my mom's not social. She wouldn't thrive in there." I could put you in touch with every retirement home manager out there, and every time a client says they're not social, by the time they've spent a week there, is they meet the people that they're sitting at their table with. They go try an exercise class. They go try, and maybe there's a gardening opportunity or whatever it is. They become a part of that social structure. It's independent lifestyle. If you're in a retirement residence, you can come and go as you please. If you have a car and you're still driving, you can go. You can go to Florida for 4 months if you want to. It's independent. You're paying a fee every month, and you're getting your housekeeping, your meals, and you're getting your activities. So your lifestyle is independent. I mean, people, again, that misconception is, and if I hear them, people using that term, they're going to the home, which is an awful term. You know, they're going to a different lifestyle. Is that they're going to a place where they have the opportunity to eat well, exercise, socialize. Most people that go to a retirement residence, you know, they start eating 3 meals a day. They gain weight, gain strength. They do some exercise. There's many times a real transformation in the person in the retirement residence. There is care available. We'll talk about that in a second, but many homes have the ability to increase your care as someone's health diminishes. It is private pay. You pay every month, depending on what services you get. You know, so it's in your monthly bill. Part of it is a rent component, and some of it is a service component. It's the rent component. You're governed by the Landlord Tenant Act, but because it is a rental building, and you're also governed by the Retirement Homes Regulatory Authority, which oversees the management of the 750 plus licensed retirement homes in Ontario. For years, up until 2011, there was no regulations in retirement homes. If I had 2 back bedrooms, I could put 2 people there and call it a retirement home. There was no regulation, so they established that in 2011. They have to go through an inspection process. They have to comply. There's actions they can take against the retirement residents if they don't follow the recommendations. You know, there's a complaint. You know, if you have a complaint about a retirement home, it's about the treatment of your loved one. They have a complaint line, and again, it's a lot better system than it was in looking after, you know, the needs and the safety of an older person. Retirement residence, there's different types. Again, understanding the difference between long-term care and retirement is key. And again, my only goal here is if you come away with that. There's independent living, there's assisted living, there's specialized assisted living, and there's respite care. Okay, different terms. So retirement residence is, you know, is designed again for maximum engagement, maximum socialization. Retirement residence can be condos, villas, apartments, townhouses. There's many different forms, and I'm just having a mental block on the one in Burlington. My clients just moved into, and they have bungalow townhouses that is part of the retirement residence. Again, all different to meet everyone's different tastes and needs. Again, retirement residents offer that transition from, you know, being in your own home to still being independent, but you have the services you need to, you know, look after your, you know, activities of daily living. Assisted living, you'll hear that a lot. Assisted living is a component of a retirement residence. It's, you know, it's where the staff gives more support to the seniors to maintain their independence. So that could be help with eating, help with, you know, getting someone dressed in the morning, someone brushing their teeth, they're bathing, looking at helping with their mobility devices, getting into the wheelchair, getting out of it, medication monitoring. All those services are available so that person can stay in the retirement residence. Another thing to note, that government home care is available in the retirement residence. So if you've been assessed that you have 20 hours a week of home care, is that the home care and the PSW or the nurse will come in and look after you in the retirement home. Again, home services that are paid for by the government, they will come to your house, they'll come to your condo, they'll come to the retirement residence. It doesn't stop just because you're in a retirement residence. Assisted living, it's different components of a retirement residence. So an assistant, it could be a separate floor, is assisted living. It could be a separate wing in a building. It could actually be a separate building, that assisted living component. Many times, you know, you'll have a designated floor for assisted living. A couple of reasons for that is that all the care and all the machinery needed to, if you have lifts, you have different things to help those clients, you have assistants in there for their meals. They want to keep that all centralized to help people out, and having it all there. And many times these assisted living floors or wings will be locked. You'll need access to get there just because people suffering from dementia or cognitive impairment, you don't want them wandering. So there's a locked situation again, but it's still part of the retirement residence, is that when someone can, no longer manage with the basic services offered by the retirement home, they can add more and more services. So they theoretically never have to move. Specialized assisted living. Many retirement homes have a specialization. Can't talk today. So I used an example of like Sunrise Assisted Living. There's one at Trafalgar in Cornwall. There's one on the border of Burlington and on Burlington on Lakeshore and Oakville. Obviously, one in Mississauga on Air Mills Parkway. They've made their living dealing with dementia patients, is people that dementia. So their system is that each floor has a different level of care, with their fourth floor at a Sunrise is always a secure environment for people with severe dementia. The staff is specially trained. It's a locked unit, so they can't escape and they can't wander. Everything is geared to deal with people with those cognitive impairments. So again, when someone realizes that someone has been diagnosed with a dementia and it's progressive, so they might start off on one floor of an assisted living, and then when they need more care, they might move to a different floor. And again, when they need a high level of care, that they will go to, they could go to the highest level of care within it. Again, I'm using the example of Sunrise, but many retirement residents, will have a specialty of what they do. Here's some examples here. The one on the left is for Trafalgar Lodge. So what they do is they assess the client in several criteria. So a morning routine, a level 1 is just laying out their clothes and setting up the toiletries. And then a level 3 is the full assistance with all the tasks of the morning routine, from brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, helping with the toilet. Dining, level 1 is just a reminder to, it is lunch, it is dinner time, it is lunchtime. A level 3 is one-on-one assistance to eating. So again, that assisted living, you might not need every one of those, but it's a la carte. It is so mobility. So again, level 1 is a reminder to the residents to walk, and participate in activities. To a level 3 is you have dedicated support, helping someone get from point A to point B. When my mom went into a retirement residence, she could use her walker to walk to the dining room, but she got to the point with diminished health is that they would have to come and put her in a wheelchair and take her to the dining room. Again, that was just a graduated system. So within the retirement residence, I could upgrade those services if I have some sort of assisted living component. Accessibility, all the way to if I need a mechanical lift to get someone out of bed. Evening ritual, same thing. Might be as simple as a level 1 starting with turning down the bed and lay out evening clothes, to level 3 is full assistance, getting them out of their chair, cleaning them up, and putting them into the bed and make sure they're comfortable. Medication is a huge one to miss, people on their own, forgetting their medication, losing their medication, over prescribing themselves. So they can monitor. You can start off a reminder about medication to, someone coming in 4 times a day to give them their medication, bathing, personal care. So again, it's all designed so the senior can stay. He goes into the retirement residence and he can stay as long as possible. It becomes very expensive. Let's not be, when you need that full level of care, I'm just estimating on in my experience, if I went full level 3 of care, for each one of those categories, I would probably be close to ten to $15,000 a month for that level of care. Again, people that can't afford it pay for it because the retirement residence is a lot nicer environment, unfortunately, than long-term care. So again, people that say, I've got the money, I can do it. I put my mom in a Sunrise assisted living. She's living on the 4th floor. She gets outstanding care. And she has the money to do that. So that becomes a personal choice. Respite, again, it's part of a retirement residence. And it's a great tool, and it's especially passing on to your clients this information is someone recovering from surgery. Again, I talked about my knee replacement. If I didn't have anyone at home to give me a hand, I needed a lot of assistance for the first couple of weeks. The hospital gave me a list of retirement residents that had respite care, so I could have went into the retirement residence and get the care I needed for that short term. Another big thing for retirement residents and respite care is family gets so burnt out from caregiving. We use that example of the 4 kids going downtown Toronto to look after their mom and dad. Well, at some point they need a break. Everyone needs a break. So you could put mom and dad into the retirement residence for a 1-month stay or a 2-month stay while the family regroups and recovers. Okay, caregiver burnout is a huge thing. Is in many cases the caregiver will pass away before the person that they're caring for due to the stress. And it's unimaginable the stress that caregiving puts on not only the person providing caregiving, their family, and we talked about their work again. So giving that break, that caregiver rest. Respite care is usually it's a minimum stay is a month or a 2. But again, if your client's suffering from caregiving burnout from looking after mom or dad, or they want a holiday, or a client's going in for an operation, it's pointing out the fact that those services are available. I mean, it's especially if they're on their own. So many of our people 65 plus are, due to death, a death or even late divorce, they're on their own. So they need that assistance. As we go, we hear the term palliative care. Palliative care focuses on easing pain and helping individuals go through a stressful situation. Palliative care doesn't mean they're dying, but they need that transition. It addresses symptoms of side effects of treatment, emotional challenges. Again, I talked about a close friend of mine going through 17 rounds of radiation. Again, you need to be put on a palliative care where they're looking after not only that cancer needs, but they're looking after the mental and physical needs that going forward too. So that setting, palliative care can be in the hospital, it can be in a retirement residence, it can be long-term care, it can be outpatient, it can be at home. Again, it's just focus on easing the pain and helping individuals who are living with, a long-term illness or a short-term life, but it doesn't have to be life-threatening. Hospice care. Hospice care is for individuals that have a terminal illness and they're not expected to recover. They're not recovering it. It really focuses on the client comfort and preparing the families. Eligibility, it is for people with terminal illnesses. Most of the time, the criteria for a hospice care is less than a month. I know my friends over here in Anderson House, it's usually 2 weeks is the criteria they have. So what is a hospice? It's just a loving, caring place where there's an individual room, there's a bed, it's a beautiful environment, and it's making those last days for that client and their families very, very relaxing. I'm not sure if many of you know Ian Anderson House. It's on Winston Churchill. But the lady that started it is that when back in the 90s, her husband passed away and there was no place for him to die with dignity. She just felt that it could have been better. So she went on a one person crusade, and in 7 years, they bought the property on Winston Churchill. It's an old bungalow. If you haven't seen it, it's on a couple of acres, beautiful, backs onto the ravine, and they created that environment. Carpenter Hospice. Again, I think I got some notes on that one. In North Holland, there isn't one, but the Smith Foundation has secured some land to build a hospice. They actually, United Church, one of the churches up there, donated the land. So that's speaks, and Mississauga, I can't remember the group there, that they're gonna have a hospice put together. So again, it's just very short term. A hospice by government regulations can't be more than 12 beds. So just understanding, so Carpenter Hospice is 11 beds. Again, the thing is with these, I thought I had a slide, but is they run multi-million-dollar budgets to run these hospices, and they get very little government funding. I think Ian Anderson House gets one nurse paid for and one PSW paid for out of all the staffing there. So the rest is done by volunteers and fundraising and personal donations. So they all have charity events and donations, but they function just on the goodness of people like yourselves. I mean, I'm a member of the local Masonic Lodge, and we actually go over in the fall, twice in the fall, just to rake the leaves on the 2 acres to help them out. They have different parties and functions that to raise money. Anyone looking for a volunteer opportunity, you have to be a special person to do it, but they're always looking for volunteers to help out at both the Ian Anderson House and Carpenter Hospice. It's a Carpenter Hospice, actually. I helped negotiate the transaction of selling the St. Stephen's United Church, which was next door to the Carpenter Hospice. So I had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with them. That was really the Rotary Club and the United Church put that, it was their assistance that put that together. So again, when you hear about hospice, it's just a place for a very quiet and place to pass away. Cost of retirement home living. I always love this example. I was at a seminar, and then the girl that was talking about retirement residence, her thing was you compare retirement residence to a cruise ship. Now we thought, I didn't think about it, but then, anyone been on cruise ships? You have a Carnival cruise ship, and you have something like a Viking Ocean Cruises. If you're familiar with cruising, one's a Chevrolet and one's a Rolls Royce of cruises. The difference is on the Carnival ships, you get 5,000 to 6,000 passengers with 1,100 crew. Viking cruises, you get 930 passengers, and almost more than half, the people looking after them are crew members. So again, the differences are rooms, the food quality, staff, amenities. Again, you can have a very basic retirement residence to the most opulent place that I've been in some places that are just stunning. What are their costs? Studios in this neighborhood run anywhere from $29.95 to $4,500. A studio could be 300 to 500 square feet, one bedroom. Again, 400 to 600 square feet, two bedrooms, a little larger. The idea is that retirement residences are not, the actual rooms are not big, because the idea is you want to maximize your socialization and your exercise. So basically the room is designed for you to lay your head. You're going, your lunch and your dinner, you're going out for, you're going to exercise class, you're going to, my mom always used to love going to the pub on every 4 to 6. They have actually a bar in the retirement residence that she was in, and they would go down and have a glass of wine and the socialization. So again, a lot of people look at it, oh, those rooms are so small, I could never live in it. Well, you're supposed to just be staying in that and providing participating in all the activities. Each retirement home, and I recommend that if you have the chances, just to go visit different retirement homes to get the feeling of it, so you can talk really intelligently about it. Different. It's sort of the unique qualities, like Queens Avenue is a La Vida home. anyone that knows it, it's on the hill overlooking Oakville Place. They have independent living and assisted living and respite here. But it's an older building, and so it looks like a traditional apartment building. So, but they have underground parking, which a lot of retirement residents don't have parking, or very little parking. Not that a lot of residents drive, but more and more people are driving. The higher floors, I was there last week, and we were up on the sixth floor overlooking, because you're on the hill, you're overlooking, you can see the lake, and you can see Toronto. So, it's a great viewpoint. So again, it has a flavor all its own. It's not flashy at all. It's very clean, but again, it's a 30-year-old building that's been updated, but still it's older. Vistamere, it's owned by Fieldgate Homes. They have independent and respite. It's on Sharon Drive, just off Rebecca, just before Hopedale Mall. I mean, what's unique about that? It's in a quiet, cozy neighborhood. It's part of the residential fabric. I'm not sure if anyone's ever done work with Fieldgate Homes. They're a big developer builder. They just remodeled and retrofitted it. I mean, it's really a cozy place now. It's a beautiful fireplace. Anyway, it's just a nice place. So it's got a flavor all its own. Trafalgar Lodge, which was, just taken over by Cogir. They bought all the Rivera properties, or most of them. It's independent. It has assisted and respite. It's on Trafalgar Road, just going into downtown Oakville. I mean, it's an old concept one. It's all small studio apartments. Again, they have their assisted living is intermingled. They don't have a separate wing for it or a separate floor. They're all intermingled. I believe there's only less than 80 suites there. But it's really known. It's a small, but yeah, a lot of services, and it's on the affordability side. You start at a studio for $29.95 for people that are maybe on a less of a budget, and or just want something basic. The manager over there has been there for 5 years, and just a super guy, and it really, when you go on a tour with him, you get that sense of caring and wanting that. Sunrise Assisted Living, there's funny that they're all the same building. They all use the same floor plan. It's standardized throughout all the buildings they build. So if you go into one Sunrise, they all look the same. Though actually, the one on Lakeshore, just going into Burlington, they use the same plan, but they scaled it down 3/4 size because to fit on the lot. But again, it is known for their ability to look after people with dementia and other cognitive problems. I mean, that's what they're known for. Amica Bronte. Amica Bronte is, it's more of it's more getting up to that Cadillac of retirement residences. It's on the higher floors at Amica Bronte. There's lake views and views of the river there. Again, it's more upscale. Amica, if you don't know, is owned by the Teachers Pension Fund. They're also building a new one, a new Amica right down on Lakeshore. Again, that's a little higher end, so you'd have better, nicer rooms, you'd have nicer amenities, you probably have different features. And I had the pleasure of dealing with Amica and their developers. I negotiated a property, a land lease in Aurora, and the United Church there, and the United Church is actually land leasing for the Amica project. So very professional organization, very well looked after. So again, as when we're looking at retirement homes, everyone has a unique feel, which is going to appeal for different people. So if you go and tour them, every retirement manager will even let you stay for lunch, and because they want, unfortunately, in retirement residences, there is a turnover. People need more care than they can provide, and they'll go on to long-term care. Unfortunately, people pass away. So your retirement homes can have, averaging out, maybe a 20% to 30% turnover a year. So again, they're constantly marketing in the community and letting everyone know they're there. So they always appreciate a realtor dropping by and saying hello because, again, they have to, a retirement home only is profitable when they're at 90% plus occupancy. So it's always constant to get a retirement home to get the people in there. So take the time to go visit. One of these pictures, just looking. This is Chartwell. This is up by Trafalgar and Dundas, the Chartwell there. Again, you can see that, it's not your grandmother's retirement home. Again, it's designed as that you're living outside your room, and these are the places that you can spend time in. These are Amica properties. These are in downtown Toronto. This is I took these photos from two of the Balmoral and the other one there. This is they start off here at about $10,000 a month base, and they go up from there. But again, it's that Cadillac it's the Rolls Royce of retirement residents. So again, if you have your wealthy clients selling their $5 million home in East Oakville, they can well afford to live in a lifestyle that they really enjoy. Excuse me. So if we're looking at our optimum situation here, so the retirement residents can provide safety, socialization, increase opportunities to exercise, and it's, on a pay option is that you can increase the services, so you can have the feeding, dressing, grooming, toileting, transferring. So again, it allows you to meet all that criteria for a safe and a quality place to live. So we look at it. So it's here we have a retirement residence, and again, you have to be ready to go to a retirement residence. You have to start needing some of those services, or you want that. It's still a needs-driven place. No one wakes up in the morning, most people, and say, I'm going to the retirement residence today, even though I'd love it because I've been to many of them and the food is outstanding, and someone making my bed in the morning is a nice thing. But you'll as realtors, you'll run into that resistance of leaving the family home. I don't want to leave the family home. And why when you think about it, it's providing all the things you need to have a successful last 5, 10, 15 years of your life. You have everything you need: safety, socialization, exercise, and everything else. Why wouldn't you look at that option? And some of the reasons is, number one is the fear of moving, lack of understanding of what a retirement residents are like. I put that picture there, and people mentally think that I'm going to the home and there's nothing happening and I'm just going to be locked away, and they're throwing away the key. They're putting me in the home, which is far from the truth. Past memories of, my mom took me to a long-term care to visit my grandmother, 60 years ago, and I still remember it. It was an awful place with people screaming, green walls, and it was awful. That memory stuck with me for a long time, and a lot of people have those same type of memories. The media does not help any. They always make a joke about, if you sell your home, you're giving up. Confusion between long-term care and retirement home, that is the biggest one. Understanding the differences, because people will think about the waiting list at long-term care. They'll think about the people dying in long-term care over COVID and all these things.